Hey, Naperville, do you want to know effective strategies for negotiating real estate transactions or really any transaction in life? And do you want to know what's happening in today's real estate market in Naperville? Well, stick around for the Naperville Real Estate Weekly Market Update. Owning a home in Naperville is about living a great life today and investing in a secure tomorrow. On this show, we're going to give you the tools to do both. Welcome to the Naperville Real Estate Weekly Market Update. Hey, Naperville, how's it going? I am Chris Grano with Keller Williams. Alongside me is my co-host, Todd Gosden with Compass Mortgage. Welcome to the Naperville Real Estate Weekly Market Update. Todd, how you doing this week?
I am doing very nice. Thank you. The market is hot right now. That's what I do know.
Woo, sure is, man. Sure is. I've been, you know how this industry goes. Sometimes it's in waves. And so right now I'm in the midst of serving a lot of home buyers.
Yes.
And it is putting the miles on my car.
Yes, it is. Yes,
but it's all good. That's all good. I love what I do. I wouldn't do anything else. So let's get into the numbers. But as I teased a little bit, we're going to talk today about negotiation, and I think that's why it's been such a hot topic in my mind lately. Is I've been negotiating a lot of transactions over the last few weeks, and I learn new things about better and more effective ways to negotiate all the time. And I know that that you have spoken on this topic many times. So I think it's something that certainly buyers, sellers, just homeowners in general could learn more about.
Absolutely.
So let's talk real quick about this week's numbers. So in Naperville, things are holding steady. I mean, we had a little dip in new listings this past week. Not necessarily an explanation for that, but we had 101 new listings as opposed to 120 and 122 previous weeks, but still really strong numbers coming to market and very consistent numbers as far as homes going under contract. So 112 this week and last week. And so there's continued activity. Also had 69 homes close this week. So when we talk about inventory, not a lot of change as we've noted over the last few weeks, holding very strong for sellers in terms of the pace of market. So we're in a seller's market under that $500,000 point in Naperville, and in that 500 to 750, which is kind of the most listings that we have in Naperville, the most activity. We've seen that increase just a little bit over the last, actually now 4 consecutive weeks. We've seen that number creep up a little bit. So good news for you home buyers in that 500 to 750 range. It means you should be seeing some more options out there. Then again, when we get above 750 and certainly above $1 million, still pretty strong, pretty balanced, and heading towards a buyer's market. So Todd, what can you tell us about any tips, tricks that you got going this week? Any news in your world?
Any news in my world? Well, there's plenty of news. It just right now the market continues to seem to be moving in the direction, economically anyway, with new housing starts getting very, very hot. They were up at 1.7 million units in March alone, and they're forecasting to 1.8 million in the month of April, which is great. That means that we're hopefully going to start seeing inventory build here over the next 90 to 120 days to give people an opportunity, right?
And Todd, you're talking specifically about new construction?
New construction, right? Because we need new construction right now. Yeah. We need something right now that's going to help create inventory to shake this up just a little bit, right? And when you start looking at the amount of volume of people searching, so to give you an idea, the month of March, from March to April, web searches for homes increased 2,450%.
Wow.
Which is big numbers. That tells you people are raring to go. They just got to be able to find a place to where they're confident they're going to be in a position to actually win. Right. I think that's a big part of this, right? And so negotiating is part of that. That's all part of the deal, and trying to win that property that could be your home for life.
Yeah. Well, I'm so glad that you brought up new construction too, because I've had some conversations with folks recently who have asked, thinking that was like a fallback. Well, I can't find any homes. Maybe I'll just build one. And I said, well, good luck with that too. For right now, at least, I'm hearing from some of my builder partners in the area that their lots are having bidding wars on them. I mean, so it's pretty unbelievable. But it's good news, like you pointed out, that there's this increase in new construction finally picking up where new construction left off over a decade ago.
Yeah,
So
totally.
good to see that happening. Well, you mentioned it was a great segue into our negotiation topic. So,
Ah,
yeah, kudos to you. Good job. So we've Todd, you and I talk a lot. It seems to be a theme of this podcast that really any topic we're talking about, we seem to talk about preparation.
yeah. Yeah.
And you've talked about it in your world. I mean, with regards to being prepared to buy, right?
Yeah. Well, you have to be prepared. I mean, I can't begin to tell you how many people um, give me a call on a Friday night saying, "Hey, I want to put in an offer because it's highest and best by 10 o'clock in the morning."
Yeah.
Well, you're setting yourself up for an emotional event at that point because we have no idea what to expect.
Yep.
We want to make sure that everything's buttoned up and you're feeling comfortable and confident walking into that offer. Because really, what it is about is being confident.
Yep.
The reason we have emotion is because we're not confident what we're doing. If you know your numbers, you know your monthly payment, and you know what's possible, then you're going to have a lot more confidence walking in and ready to go on that, right? And so I think that's a whole part of it. And I can't tell you how many times I see something on someone's credit where they have no idea what it is. And we have to research that to make sure that they are prepared and ready. So preparedness is so important in this process, especially in this market, more so than any market I've ever seen.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, like you said, that's really for me. I mean, just the reality of it is, when do most of the negotiations that I take part in take place? It's 8, 9 o'clock at night, maybe on a
Sure.
Friday, maybe on a Friday, maybe on a Tuesday. I mean, because the reality is, we're going to see houses a lot of times when people get off work, and we're running the comparables and we're getting that offer in, trying to get the deal done, maybe late at night or, maybe carrying through to the morning. And so we can't, part of the conversations I have with my buyers up front is we talk through, especially in this market, all of the tools and all of the pieces that go into a negotiation. And chief part of that is the financing. And then beyond that, it's the tips and tricks that we can use, when we get into these multiple offers. And a lot of it is just the attitude about, so last night I wrote an offer for a buyer, and we were lucky enough that this particular property did not have any offers on it yet. And we were able to, because they acted quickly.
Yeah.
But we had those conversations about be ready. And when you like something, be ready to act quickly. So the reason I bring these up is this is the very beginnings of negotiation.
Right.
It starts way before we submit an offer.
Way before.
And so the confidence, like you mentioned, because you know your numbers, you know what you feel comfortable with in these scenarios where there's bidding wars, you know what you feel comfortable going up to. And of course, you already have that pre-approval from your lender. And then it makes things much easier. And as you pointed out, much less emotional.
Couldn't agree more with you. I mean, look at it from the opportunity right now we're getting into is that not only does that potential clients have a lot to think about with their personal finance, but then all of a sudden now we're in an environment where we have to give consideration to appraisal gaps and talking about, oh my goodness, we have to go 15,000 or more above list price to get it. Now there's a whole nother affordability issue because we're looking for affordability beyond list price nowadays. Right. And that's just the world we kind of fallen into here over the last 18 months, that's something real and something that needs to be given consideration when you're actually helping somebody assure that they're getting the payment they want when it's all said and done.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I think maybe this is something we can even stretch into next week to continue talking about, because obviously, entire courses are taught on negotiation, and I don't think we're trying to accomplish that here. But I want to stick just real quick with the preparation because, I've also had conversations with buyers who are out there looking on their own, or maybe, which is very unadvisable, but maybe, but sometimes I get, sometimes the reality is I'll get calls from folks who say, hey, we've been talking to another agent for a long time and we're just kind of unhappy because we've been losing out on all these deals. And of course, I never encourage anybody to break their word in a negotiation or an agreement with another agent. But I understand the frustration that if somebody feels like they're just willy-nilly throwing offers into the wind and hoping that they land in the lap of an agreeable seller, that is a guaranteed loss just about every time. So there has to be preparation and planning on all parts of the buying side, between the lender, between the buyers themselves, and certainly with the agent. And so if I could hammer one thing home, that's that message, and spend time. If you're out there, you're working with an agent, spend time talking with your agent about what the plan is when we get into these negotiation scenarios.
Absolutely. I mean, people think for 30 days before they buy a watch. I mean, don't give it 24 hours to buy the biggest investment of your life.
Well, and there are, I'll tell you, I just bought a car, right? So there are entire websites out there dedicated to helping you negotiate a used car sale. And the funny thing for me is I negotiate real estate deals all the time, but it's different negotiating a car deal because I don't know anything about the auto industry. So I was out there reading some of these websites trying to give myself an advantage, but I can't tell you how many times I have home buyers who just kind of say, well, let's just write an offer without really learning or considering, So I won't kick a dead horse anymore this week, but I think that was worth fleshing out a little bit. And I think next week, then we can talk a little bit too, then about the actual negotiation process.
I think that's worthwhile for sure, for everybody.
Yeah, and not just the tools and tips, which we've kind of hit on before, some of the things you can do to win, but also just the attitude, because it's a tough process, and you want to have the right mindset going in. So
yes, you do.
Todd, thank you so much as always for your time.
Absolutely.
I know our listeners and viewers appreciate it. Hey, you guys, if you're not already subscribed, make sure you subscribe on YouTube at youtube.com/Chris Grano. Follow us on all the major podcast platforms, Apple Podcasts and Spotify, of course. And be sure to tell a friend. I get most of my business from referrals. I know that Todd does as well. And I know for a fact that you have a friend out there that could use this information. So pass the word along. We will talk to you guys next week. Todd, have a great rest of your week.
Have a good day, everybody.